Ott's Game Time. Jimmy Ott's Game Time.
What time is it? Game time!
Need an angle? The Ott Fathers got you covered.
My boy's wicked smart.
Jimmy Ott's Game Time on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
And may the odds be ever in your favor.
Now, here's Jimmy Ott.
Bingo! I got action.
Or do we have action today? As this is the All-Star break. This is where we're not supposed to have action, but we do have action. We got a lot of things to talk about. A really busy weekend of action. Whether it was soccer, golf was kind of a soft spot. As the players are split up, some at the John Deere here, some over in the Scottish Open, and getting ready for the British Open, the big one, our fourth and final major of the season. So that's a lot of fun. We can talk about that the next 3 days. We've got the odds from several different outlets, including Bet Rivers. So we'll mention those. The All-Star break is a time to reflect back on the first half. We look at some of our win totals and maybe our picks before the season and stuff like that. And, well, I had to look back. I thought I had plus 160 for Milwaukee to win the Central, plus $3. Ooh. 3-1 for pretty much looks like is going to run away with it. It's opening day at Del Mar week. I will be here for 3 days. It's a short week for me. Charlie and Roscoe on Thursday, and then Charlie with all the guests on Friday. And also next Monday, and our full lineup, morning and afternoon. And then, Charlie, you're going to do the first day. That'll be LSU Day from Media Days in Hoover, tightening the access, I guess you could say, the admission, and COVID spacing on Radio Row, COVID spacing in the main print room. That's the room it's the most attended. It's the biggest room, and that's where SEC Network is broadcasting the Q&A with the coaches as they come through. So, but Charlie, you kind of talking about match point and the NIL being such a major topic as we're still learning every day. And, well, let's start off with that. What's new, man? Because things are changing every day.
Well, I think what you're getting now is you're getting some clarity on what the schools are going to allow the kids to do and what they're not. And while you can – I heard this one today. While you can profit off of your name, image, and likeness, you can't profit off of our name, image, and likeness, meaning school logos and things like that. So I think that's the next gray area that will be sorted out. I think most of the big deals have been done with the high level social media influencers, and I think you're going to see some of the smaller deals start to trickle out a little bit. But mostly it's schools and athletes getting a handle on what kind of partnership they're going to have.
And so the different schools, what are you seeing? Basically, the schools that are trying to be more competitive, the big support schools, high resource schools, Bama, LSU, A&M, and others, trying to being a little bit more liberal with their athletes, or
they're being very liberal with their athletes in as far as what they're allowing them to do. Some of the rights holders for the logos and things like that. And that was going to be an issue from the very beginning. We knew that the schools were going to have to release. For instance, can you post a picture with yourself in uniform?
Right.
Okay. So those deals are, that's a school-by-school basis for sure.
Roscoe?
But you talk about, the big schools, A&M, Texas, schools all the money. Well, the Texas law, they can't do that. They can't use anything Texas, A&M, Texas. Well, that's boneheaded. That's an advantage. LSU, you can. Partner.
And this is where that when, it came up for Alabama, Nick Saban literally picks up the phone, and a couple hours later, it's done. This is where, okay, this is going to be, certainly LSU and Orgeron has made their case known. We will not have a competitive advantage if you Louisiana lawmakers don't outpass it. But in comes Ken Mulkey, and whoop, that's done. So forget it. Shoom, she get it. And I just got to think that the states from the schools, and I think Texas will come around. I think Texas and Texas A&M carry a big enough stick that they could tell their lawmakers to say, hey, and it's not just them, it's the Baylors, it's the TCUs. We are going to be at a competitive disadvantage. And I just don't see any of the big power schools in those states not having it. Now, Charlie, you seeing in maybe the Big Ten states where it's not the case? Or the Pac-12 states, maybe?
It is literally not anything even that broad. It is a school-by-school basis. I don't. The conferences don't want to, or at least at this point, haven't ruled on it. So it is really a state-by-state
thing.
But
Clemson got to be in.
Yeah, exactly.
LSU.
Here's something else that is interesting. On a case-by-case basis, we're seeing some creativity. For instance, lessons is one of the things that has come up. Can you go out and give a lesson? Well, what's the number one lesson sport? Okay?
Baseball.
And what's number two? Golf.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So now collegiate golfers can go out and give a lesson and charge for it. But the USGA says you're going to lose your amateur status. You're not going to lose your NCAA eligibility, but you're going to lose your amateur status. So you couldn't play in, for instance, the U.S. Amateur Open. We've seen now our first camp. Okay, an actual player is going to host his own camp. At least this is the first one that I've seen down in Lafayette. Shane Vallot, who is an offensive lineman for the Cajuns, is going to do a camp down at Como High School, which is where he went to school, and several of his teammates are going to join him in putting on the camp.
And they're charging admission?
It's going to be
okay.
They're right. So they're able to do that now. So you're seeing some very creative ways to use NIL, and it does create a lot of questions along with it.
It's which power school is not allowing their athletes to use their logos, their uniforms for their endorsements?
Well, like Roscoe said, Texas, but
that's by law.
The entire state of Texas. Hawaii was one that we saw that is not allowing very much of anything. Just as an example.
Okay. Roscoe, what did you watch mostly this weekend? You had a lot of Major League Baseball, so we were watching that more, and you had some really good games. I finally got caught on Fade and Garrett Cole. Spin rate police didn't get him. That was impressive on Saturday. Complete game shutout in Minute Maid against the Astros.
I watched a lot of baseball. I watched, financially, I watched
the soccer.
I watched the NBA. I watched a good bit of stuff this weekend.
Charlie, what were you on? Mostly?
I watched the whole Euro, and we both followed Bruce on Italy, which you had to have them to advance because England, they get a goal 2.5 minutes in. Yeah. And for a long time, Jimmy, that was the only shot they had
because
on goal.
They altered their strategy once they got that lead.
And it came back to get them. They played not to lose the whole game, and it worked for about 62 minutes until Italy scored the goal, tied it up. But the other huge mistake that he made, and it hurt him in the penalty kicks, he didn't put Sancho and Rashford in until like a minute left in the last 15 minutes of the extra time of the extra period. Those guys were cold trying to take penalty kicks.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Try and get them more into the flow of the game. That's it, and that's with all sports.
Ian Sharp was like, "Is he going to do this? Is he going to get a?" They were worried that he wasn't even going to be able to get them in the game.
Again, that is like in any sport where role players have a harder time with limited minutes trying to get into the flow of the game. They're not going to be volume shooters. Now, ball handlers, it's a little bit easier, but I mean, it's still, and that's where the comparison and the analogy comes between putting in Cole shoot, because 2 out of 5, then again, what would you say, 75-80% success rate on penalty kicks? I would say so. Yeah. And I mean, and England gets the first stop, with the goalkeeper. So anyway, it's over, and it raises that old conversation again. What's wrong with the sport where you have to end it this way? Well, they can't run forever and collapse. So It's
I don't have a problem with the kid. I mean, it was pretty exciting. It was. I mean, to me, the excitement level was there. I mean, you sit there and had great saves. You know, even though Rashford, I don't know what he was thinking. He overthought it. And he hits the freaking bar.
Yeah, the ball, you at least have to get it in the net.
I mean, what are you doing? You think? And then they got the 19-year-old kid got to take the last one.
You were an English supporter of this.
I thought that really and truly they had a more talented team. They should have won. I mean, bad coaching.
Italy?
Yeah, I mean, England's way more
Wait.
talented.
Let me jog your memory. Who mid-tournament did you say on this show you thought was the best team?
Oh,
Belgium.
Everybody thought Belgium was the best team.
Italy handled them. So why would England be considered better than Italy?
Watch it. Most of those guys play in the Premier League, which is the toughest league.
Okay.
And that's where most of those guys come from. They play in the toughest league that there is. And, you know, Serie A is good, but the Italian league is not as tough as the Premier League.
Italy, a slight underdog in it against England, but a huge advantage being played in England.
Yeah,
okay, so you know, well,
no, I mean when they got that goal early, you get a goal 2 minutes in. Italy was shook. You could have poured it on, but this guy I guess he just decided, hey, we got this goal. We're just going to chill and it was
he's not alone. Charlie, we see this all the time in sports where you go for the throat. Do you go for the throat? This is a low-scoring sport. This is a hard sport to try and compare to other sports as far as sitting on a lead. I mean, they could win 1-0.
You're at home. Wembley's rocked. And you could have tried to push forward and maybe you had him rattled there early. And you got to go for it.
Well, one thing's not debate. He clearly played not to lose.
Yes.
You know, with the approach. Okay.
I watched something else yesterday afternoon.
What'd you watch?
Let me guess.
I watched the Yankees.
You didn't watch the fight?
I did watch the fight. I watched all of the fights. I watched the Yankees bullpen blow a 5-run lead in the ninth yesterday with Aroldis Chapman sitting with a box of popcorn.
He's
just
been
watching.
getting shelled, so they're trying to change him.
I understand. So Boone says, I want to put him in a comfortable position. What more comfortable position than a 5-run lead?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, so
I
watched the fight.
But Chapman has been one of those guys. It just doesn't pertain to starters. And I've talked about how when they get into these bullpens, these middle relievers, if they have the spin rate police on them, they're getting shelled, man. You're seeing double-digit runs being scored by teams on a nightly basis numerous times, okay? But, boy, what Cole did was completely not – I went against him again. I'm going to go against him. I mean, he's overpriced for his reputation. He is not pitching as good as he was. Well, guess what? He throws a shutout. And then there's Chapman, who's been one of the big guys that his game has dipped a lot since they've been policing the gloves and everything else so much. And, yeah, I agree with you, Charlie. Come on, man. He's got to rest, too. I mean, if you're already putting in other guys that are kind of unraveling, man, put him in there. And try and get it done. But still, the Astros avoid being swept at home. So you had a little spiciness, too. You had Judge on Friday night to do a little fake Altuve. And then it was Altuve who hit the 2-out, 3-run homer to win the game yesterday.
So you remember the whole thing about the tattoo, huh? Oh, I didn't want to show my tattoo. I mean...
Yeah, his wife was going to be upset or something. Yeah.
Man, dude, everybody knows you had a mic. I mean, quit trying to. I mean, they rip it off. That little bitty old tattoo that you can barely see. Yeah, man, that's what you were covering up.
No, nobody believes the Astros. I mean, listen, that press conference they called was really. It was they only embarrassed themselves a little bit further.
I'm no Yankee fan, but I actually liked when Judge did that.
Oh no,
they had it coming.
Why not? Yes.
And then they asked him about it. He said, "Well, they got the AC up in here. I was trying to tell guys, and he put on the jacket."
That was funny. That was funny.
Embrace the villain role. Listen, man, Tatis has given us some flamboyance, which the sport needs. We need more flamboyance. We need less. Unwritten rules?
Yeah.
Okay, we need to evolve a little bit. We need some more offense. And you know that, Rob Manfred, the draft last night, he was introduced, and they booed the hell out of him. So
they booed him more than they booed Goodell, and that's hard to do, man.
I mean, you know I'll give them credit. They're trying to get some interest in the draft. I mean, the way the production last night was better than it's ever been. You know, with them giving up there,
tough gig to go against an NBA Finals game.
It's also a tough gig when it's such a crapshoot to who these teams are going to be drafting.
Well, we're dealing with different things. The NBA Finals is at a much later time than it usually is. The Major League Draft is at a much later time than it usually is. The Major League Draft used to be right in the middle of Omaha when it was 9 days and a one-game championship. Now, then it was like at the very end of it, and people talk about now it's weeks past the College World Series, but I'm not sure if it's going to remain like that or not. But it's just the first time we have some competition for the All-Star game because it is nothing usually, and it's going head up against the NBA Finals. How much do you think played into the role of them announcing Ohtani as the leadoff hitter for the American League and also the starter on the mound for the game?
Played into it to try
having
to get
competition.
Yeah, of course, yes. And we talked about he's going to be the American League MVP.
Well, yeah, he's less. You got to lay money.
I mean,
and it's a two-man race. We talked about that last week in the odds. It's him and Guerrero. He's laying about $1.50. Guerrero's plus maybe $1.50, $1.60, and then the next one's like 40-1.
You'd almost have to get hurt not to win it.
For him not to win this thing, for Guerrero to win this, Guerrero would have to hit. He'd have to break the home run record. Because Ohtani's going to hit 50.
I would think the unique aspect of Ohtani on the mound, and he's only hitting 275.
But he's hitting bombs. He got 33.
That thing in T-Mobile on Friday night was unbelievable. 463 feet. I mean, it was. I watched it live, and it was unreal. Also, we talked about Italy winning in the Euro on Sunday. There was also another Italian entry and to the Wimbledon final. And I've never seen a guy who was so rattled and so unnerved by the big stage against such a great like Djokovic and still win the first set. And then Djokovic then came back and turned it up a notch. You say what you want. He's of the big four. He's the least popular. He's not as popular as Federer. He's not as popular as Nadal. Murray is kind of going to the wayside with his injuries. He's been on the shelf a little bit. But it is clear that after beating Nadal on his surface, Federer is withdrawing from tournaments and getting beaten. This guy's now has a little juice left in the tank, and he's going to be able to build on the best resume of tennis ever.
He's got the same 20 majors. And he's done the career Grand Slam twice now, and he's got a chance to do something.
He's got to do the same career Grand Slam. Yes,
and he's got a chance to do the calendar Grand Slam, which hasn't been done since Laver in '69.
Right.
So those accomplishments, and at 34, Jimmy, do you know right off the top of your head how many majors Federer won between the age of 34 and now, and how many Nadal won after 34?
Oh, I would say
multiple.
I would say Federer. Federer between 34. What is Federer now?
He turns 40 next week, I believe.
I would say 5.
Okay.
Nadal maybe 9.
Yeah, Joker can get to 25.
He's going to get to 25.
He gets to 25. He may get. Could he get to 30? I don't know. But the most impressive thing to me was he had a set point in that first set, blew it. Okay,
yeah.
And then loses that set. That would have shook up even some really, really strong players. Didn't mess with him.
We're over here at Rouge Creole in Perkins Row, and one of their favorite people, their patrons that comes over here, Ricky Leito, and congratulations, he is a new grandfather also. So Ricky Leito they're doing a great event, and it's to honor those affected with prostate cancer. It's to benefit prostate cancer research. The Blue Ribbon Soiree. The committee's over here, gathering information and event planning right now for our 10th anniversary. That's right. This will be our 10th year, October 14th at the Renaissance on Bluebonnet. I've been to the event. It is first class. It's really well done. It's in memory of Joel Nasta and also Larry Faraci. So a lot of great food, wine, entertainment, auction items, really cool stuff. So that is the Blue Ribbon Soiree, and check them out. Again, that's in mid-October. So COVID was the only thing that stopped us last year. We're going to get back on track. We're live here at Rouge Creole. Handy's in for a couple of segments refereeing between me and Roscoe. I'm going to break your ankle, boy. Take a time out. Game time. Presented by Bet Rivers. 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bet Rivers presents Jimmy Ott's Game Time on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, so I was fortunate enough to be at a place on Saturday night that was showing the fight, and we're getting into it. I had Poirier last time at a big price at about plus 275. So whenever this is almost, we just talked about tennis, okay? And it's the only time that people are going to compare tennis and UFC. But when you're more in your prime and you unseat the champion, well, you're unlikely just to widen the gap. And I think that's what we saw on Saturday night with Poirier and McGregor. Poirier beat him, and listen, is there anybody that thinks that thing was trending if he doesn't break his leg, that he's going to come back?
Yeah, McGregor thinks. I mean,
no, he does not count. I don't want to Charlie Hannah you, but he just you can't. No self-analysis in it. The guy was talking crap with his being brought off on a stretcher. Okay?
He's talking crap that he should have been talking to.
Well, come on, it's their thing.
You stuck that because I had a little respect for McGregor. He went
really?
up the line, brother.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's your problem, okay, respecting him.
He was losing the fight, and he was going to lose the fight. If you heard some of the post-fight commentary, even from Dana White, it was, if he doesn't break his leg, if he doesn't step wrong, he's going to make it to the second round. That's your goal.
So?
Yeah, right,
yeah,
that's your goal. I mean, you're
right.
going to make it 40 more seconds. So, no, he was going to lose the fight. And I'm not an MMA expert, okay, but I can read records as well as anybody. The guy's won one fight in 5 years, okay? At one time, he was the best in the sport. He no longer is. And we've seen this, Jimmy, you and I can go long time and talk about boxers that stayed well past their prime, and whether it's his athleticism is no longer what it was, his skill level, or the fact that his focus is just somewhere else. I get why he's still talking trash. That's how he makes his money now, because it's not fighting.
That's absolutely right. And that's what my 15-year-old son gravitates to. And I would think that, Roscoe, you would have a little bit further development to know that it's all a show. When this guy gets his leg snapped and he's being carted off on a stretcher and he's talking crap, that's all he has. But guess what? That stuff runs real hollow when you can't back it up.
Well, not only that, and everybody will tell you, and I'm about to trigger McGregor diehards. If you look back, his biggest wins were Nate Diaz. He beat him. After Diaz beat him, he came back and beat him. He beat, but his three big fights that he won on his way up, you can argue he beat his biggest fight. He beat guys that were on the way. He has never beaten anybody that was at the top of their game. Ever. Even when he was the biggest thing ever. Because when he fought Nurmagomedov, who's at the top of his game, he don't want no more of him. And he ain't going to never beat Dustin. So he needs to stay out of that ring, because he ain't getting...
Who would... when you come from very little and your lifestyle is yachts, penthouses, and do whatever you want, I think his whiskey company is worth just what alone. So he is a successful entity. It's going to have a short shelf because, Charlie, you can speak on this, but y'all trying to preach to the athletes, the best thing you can do for your brand is be a great athlete. Do what you do best. Serena Williams got sidetracked for a while. She wanted to be a fashion designer. She probably left a handful of majors on the table while she was distracted, and he's just not as hungry. Now, will Poirier, with his success, become a little less hungry, a little less rough?
Well, Poirier's kind of getting in it. He's hitting his prime right now. The key thing is, it finally, Dana White's like, oh, yeah, he's going to heal him. He's going to make him fight him again. If I'm Poirier, he's like, man, I beat this guy twice. Can I finally get my title shot?
No, Poirier, it's no use in fighting Colin McGregor again. I know they want to say that. I mean, he just snapped his leg like it was nothing. He's beating the crap out of it, okay? And the gap is just widening. I mean, we can see it. He's bigger than him. He's more skilled and disciplined, and so.
And that's another thing. Conor needs to go back to 145. He's not winning anymore. He's not going to win a fight at 155.
From a gambling perspective, too, you only have these shots so often, okay? And, boy, you had, plus 250 or 275 in the second one. You weren't going to get that price again. They actually laid McGregor. Usually McGregor money comes in. It never did. There was some split action. He still draws some money. But that flood of money that came in last time that drove it from 220 to 325 on fight day, that never came in this time on McGregor. And so Poirier maintained a $1.30 favorite the whole time. Went up about $1.40 at some places, but it never moved on fight day. So from a gambling perspective, you ain't going to get Poirier minus $1.30 anymore against McGregor.
Well, if you're
That's
McGregor,
sure as
if
well.
you're a McGregor backer, when's the last time you cashed? You cashed one ticket on the guy since 2016. Okay, well, I mean, if at some point you get what do you say? Get your hand off the stove?
Yes,
Jimmy?
yes.
This happened with Tyson backers too. At the end of his career, the people that had bet Tyson forever. Well, what happened? Okay, I think he lost the last 4 fights of his career, or 3 of the last 4 of his career.
He lost to Holyfield when he bit his ear off. He lost to
after he lost to Lennox
Lewis.
He lost to 2 no names after he lost to Lennox Lewis, and I think the one win he had in the last 4 fights of his career
was that the Rhino?
Yeah, against Clifford 18, the Black Rhino.
Yeah.
The other 3 fights he lost. So at some point you get your hand off the stove.
Right. And he's just his better days are behind him. Look, man, he's at least taken his brand and done a heck of a job because that Irish whiskey that he's pimping, I didn't realize that was his own company. That was his own brand.
Yeah.
I mean, it's worth a ton.
Yeah, he needs a quick fight. I mean, he's made his money.
He's in the business of being Conor McGregor now. He's not really in the business of fighting anymore.
Yeah, quit fighting, man. It's no need.
So you said you still had a little piece of respect. Did you not see him throw the chairs through the bus windows at times? You did not see him be lewd again. Where is your head? Where's your standards, Mr.
Are you gonna
Roscoe?
let me? I had got to the point where I was like, okay, man, the guy's got a brand. He's working. He's doing things. I was like, okay, I can respect what he did, and I was respecting trying to lift himself up. But man, I mean, you go off and you try to talk about that man's wife and stuff like, man, no, man, you don't go there. And then and maybe Poirier goes. They say, hey, man, is this over between you guys? Y'all gonna fight again? He said, no, it ain't over. He said, we're gonna fight again, whether it be in the ring or on the sidewalk. We got to fight again.
Louisiana's own Poirier, man. What a great. He won some fans. And I didn't see the total numbers, but it was pretty. There was it was pretty well highly viewed, pretty well viewed.
1.8 million.
1.8 million.
Mm-hmm.
I know, like Circa in Las Vegas, they have a warehouse that was roughly 1,000 people at a party.
The first fight was 600,000 pay-per-views. This one was 1.8.
Triple.
Yeah.
Wow. It was a good card, too. Speaking of which, 10 of the 12 chalk cashed the ticket.
Greg Hardy got knocked the blank out.
He's won. That's well. Don't forget our friends at Clark Crane Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram on US 61 in St. Francisville. Great deals worth the short drive at Clark Crane Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Yes, right. Check out their website as well at clarkcranejeep.com. That's clarkcranejeep.com. You can schedule a service appointment. We check out the current value of your vehicle if you want to learn the trade-in value when you want to buy a new vehicle. You can check out our inventory, both new and pre-owned. It's all at clarkcranejeep.com. Great deals worth the short drive at Clark Crane Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram on US 61 in St. Francisville. A little preview of Media Days when we come back. Game Time presented by Bet Rivers from Rouge Creole and Perkins Row on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bet Rivers presents Jimmy Ott's Game Time on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
And we continue over here from one of nice crowds over here at Rouge Creole here in Perkins Row. And about a few weeks ago, we added some new menu items over here. So we did the chicken fried oysters in okra. It's with the Creole butter and buttermilk aioli. I had it really, really good. The fried green tomatoes with the pickled green tomatoes with the shrimp remoulade on top of it. And the Rouge Boudin balls, smoked crawfish boudin, dirty rice, sauce Creole with the pepper jelly jam. So some of our new menu items over here at Rouge Creole. Our happy hour is always busy, Monday through Thursday from 2 and 6 p.m., Fridays from 11 a.m. until 6 p.m., including all of our socials, all of our appetizers, now about 12 different from which to choose from, are all half price. All right, Major League Baseball draft. Charlie, we talked about it, your corner of the store with the LSU baseball program. How badly were they hit, and what was expected, and what was a surprise?
All right, so I wouldn't say that they got unlucky today, but they didn't get lucky either. The guys that went were the ones that I expected to go, the recruits. Now we'll get to the team in a second. But, you were hoping to sneak a few guys, one or two guys in. That really didn't happen today, but I wouldn't say they got unlucky either, and that somebody completely that would have been a surprise. So of the current team, Jaden Hill win the second round, 44 to the Rockies. Happy for that young man, because after the injury, you knew his stock was going to take a hit. He's still going to get a very nice number there. I think the slot value is 1.6. So he's going to do well. Landon Marceau win the third round of the Angels, pick number 80, but they were the only two LSU players off the current team to get drafted in the first 10 rounds. So Devin Fontenot, A.J. Labus, Gavin Dugas, Gio DiGiacomo, Mikhail Hilliard will go into day 3. The Tigers had 4 recruits taken in the top 5 rounds. That was tied for the most with Florida of colleges that lost players in the top 5 rounds. Ben Kadruna, the right-handed pitcher, was taken by the Royals in the second round, completely expected. Carter Jansen, the catcher, in his third round by the Royals, completely expected. Ian Moeller, the catcher, taken by the Rangers in the fourth round, completely expected. The one that they had hoped to slide through was Brock Selvage, the left-handed pitcher from Arizona. There was some talk that his number might be a little bit high, that they could slide him. They could get him through the first 5 rounds. They might be able to get him to campus. He went in the third round of the Yankees at 92, so that's that. They got, I thought, a nice get in Cale Lansville, a right-handed pitcher from Central Colorado. He's actually from South Denver. He's a number 85 player rated by Perfect Game, and he somewhere in around the 5th or 6th round, he tweeted out, "I'm going to school." Basically, don't bother. So that was a nice get, I thought, for them. Josh Pearson from West Monroe. A lot of people saw him win that home run derby in Florida a couple of weeks ago. He is a rated number 213 prospect in the country. He did not get drafted today. He looks an awful lot like Gavin Dugas did coming out of high school, 5'10", 195 pounds. Grant Fontenot, right-handed pitcher from Lafayette, number 161 nationally, not drafted. Luke Lito from Michigan, a 6'2" middle infielder, 103 in the country. Grant Taylor, right-handed pitcher from Florence, Alabama, rated 155 in the country. None of those guys got drafted today. So 85, 103, 155, 161, 213. I know the names aren't maybe familiar, but the numbers should tell a little bit of the story. Braden Gilbert, infielder from Delgado. He was a junior college All-American last year. An infielder, hit 394, not drafted today. And Paul Gervais, a right-handed pitcher, who's also a junior college player, 6'8". He tweeted out right after the draft ended today that he is definitely coming to school. Don't bother taking him tomorrow. Another player that people were watching was Matt Olson. He was an Arizona State commitment as a pitcher, and a lot of people thought his coach Jason Kelly might follow him here. He was taken in the 9th round, so close. We will see a little bit on him. And one of the bigger surprises of the day, Jimmy, Peyton Stovall, the shortstop from Houghton, number 1 player in the state of Louisiana, and a number 47 prospect overall, took himself out of the draft. Says, "I am going to the University of Arkansas." So a little bit of a surprise.
Ouch.
That I thought that he would get drafted, if not in the sandwich round, in the 2nd round, and he would be gone. He is headed to Fayetteville.
So to recap, at first glance, you say, "Oh, LSU and Florida were the most affected teams in this Major League Baseball draft." They had a rough day, but as far as the levels of expectation, LSU actually +1 maybe in that category because the 4 that were taken early, they were expected to be taken at that point. But one that was that slipped just a little bit, and finally the prospect, the recruit, he got on social media, said enough. I'm going to, and I could speak to that to some friends or. That these teams said, oh, man, we're taking you in the 4th round if you're there. We're taking you in the 5th round in the NFL draft. You go undrafted, then they all rush to call you. Say, well, man, I'm tired of playing this game.
Right.
So it can be a little bit of a turnoff where some of the team's promises don't come to fruition, and it can be a turnoff. Not the saying that I have any insight on that, but obviously some frustration sets in maybe with the process, and he said, man, I'm going to school.
Yeah, so I think they're home on the high school kids. Well, I mean, something could happen, I guess, but I think they're home on the high school kids. What you're watching tomorrow is, will these players with eligibility left at LSU come back to school for another year, or will they take what's offered? And you're going to see an awful lot of, will you take this? If you do, we'll draft you. If not, we're moving on. Slot at the last pick of the draft today was 142,000. So that's where you're starting tomorrow in round number 11. So for a Devin Fontenot, an A.J. Labus, a Gavin Dugas, a Gio DiGiacomo, and Mikhail Hilliard, all of whom have eligibility left. And in the case of Dugas, 2 years if he wants them back. So he would maintain leverage if he came back. Decisions maybe to make tomorrow.
What round did they finish today?
Through 10.
Oh, that's usually the cutoff.
Yes, it is. 11 through 20 tomorrow.
Any feel on the kids that if they get drafted, say 11 to 15, I mean, are any of those just tired of school and ready to move on?
No, I don't think any of them are tired of school, but I would tell you that of the 5 that we're talking about, the one they're most likely to get back is Dugas, because he has 2 years of eligibility left, could come back and go through the draft process again next year, still with leverage. You know how the teams leverage out seniors with no eligibility left. Dugas would not be in that particular category next year.
Go ahead. I was going to talk about the guys that you see. Marceau, he gets drafted to the Angels. Just watching, I think his stuff plays to that park.
I think Landon Marceau's got a major league future, no question. I don't think his ceiling is a ceiling, but I think he's absolutely got a place on a major league roster. I think he's gotten better over the course of his career. He's durable. He's got multiple pitches that he can throw for strikes. He's never going to light up the radar gun. He's probably going to top out at about 94, but there is a place on a major league roster 2 years from now for Landon Marceau, I think.
Yeah,
and the key, and then with Jaden Hill, you come back after Tommy John. I personally think now you get paid. You're not here at LSU saying I got to start. He's a back end of the bullpen guy. His stuff plays as a close.
Charlie, what's your reaction to where he was drafted?
It was almost exactly where he was mocked. I don't think that. For me, the problem with Jaden Hill is not so much the injury; it's the movement on his fastball. When he was healthy here the last year, he was hit, and it had the changeup is a plus pitch for him, but that fastball is flat, and he's going to have to do something about that at the next level if he's going to be successful. And the other thing I would tell you about him is. And we didn't maybe see as many times at once. I'd like to see a little bit more fire out of him, a lot more competitiveness. It seemed like he gave in on a lot of outings. That 3 innings I saw him pitch against the University of Texas at Minute Maid Park, I was in the stands, was about as impressive a 3 innings as you can see a college pitcher pitch. I didn't see that this year. Never saw that level of intensity from him.
Size, velocity, but lack of production and that's it. You're going on stuff. But yes, his ball is flat, and he's something that a scout told me about a guy that. If we could call it a slide, went from maybe top 3 to 10. And Kumar Rocker is that his ball has remained kind of, it doesn't do as much. I don't want to overreact to him pitching on a little bit shorter rest than he ever had to against a team playing with a lot of mojo in Mississippi State Bulldogs. But Rocker at 10, I didn't think he would last at 10.
I didn't think he was going to get past Kansas City at
6.
At 7, I think it was. 6 or 7. I saw Kumar Rocker pitch in big games, man. I saw him pitch with a lot of pressure on him and come up big. Forget about the last one, okay? He was on short rest, and I saw him pitch in big games, big situations, and just really, really embrace the moment. I never saw that from Jaden Hill. So,
you can't compare those.
No,
that guy's been
but a year ago they were right there 3-4, okay, in top 5.
Well, he had to, he got a pass because of the injury, but then Charlie, it's just there's very few guys who've thrown 25 college innings that get drafted 40th in the top 50.
They had him. The guys last night at the MLB Network, they had him ranked as 36, and he went 43. So I was a little shocked when I saw that. I didn't think, but
very interesting prospect.
But one thing, I watch a lot of baseball. I'm not a baseball scout. I think the baseball scouts are probably the least reliable. I think they get too passionate and too. They talk themselves into guys and out of guys more than any scout in any of the majors.
Roscoe, it is the toughest to project. It's just that way.
Yeah,
and what's interesting about it is you actually are able to see some of the top kids play against each other now more than ever. But if you look at the top 30 NFL, the first rounders in the NFL, the first rounders in the NBA, the first rounders in the MLB, baseball is the toughest to project. It's just that way.
Yeah, because I think
I don't want to listen to a general statement of criticism about the scouts when it's a tough deal, and history tells us that this is a list a mile long of scouts have had the difficult task.
I agree that it is tough because I think they get fall in love too much with these high school kids because they think